Good morning, everybody. And welcome to our World Tourism Day Forum, Impact Tourism, Giving Time, Talent, and Treasure, hosted by the nonprofit Center for Responsible Travel, or CREST, and the Organization of American States, or OAS, which promotes regional cooperation among the countries of the Americas. And how inspiring is this building? FYI, it was designed by the Israeli-Canadian architect Moshe Safdie, especially for the U.S. Institute for Peace, an organization whose mission is to prevent and resolve conflict around the world. You know, in this kind of place, we can think big thoughts and act on them. I'm Nori Quintos, and I will be your tour guide for the day. My entire career has been spent in the world of travel and tourism, as an editor and writer for various travel publications, and as an independent communications consultant working with destinations and travel companies. I'm also on the board of a new nonprofit called the Adventure Travel Conservation Fund. For the last many years, I've been affiliated with National Geographic in various staff and contributor roles. That experience has allowed me to see the world through a unique lens. In my work, I've seen firsthand the power travelers and the travel industry that caters to them have to make an impact on a destination, good or bad. How can we transform travel to be an overwhelming and undeniable force for good? Big question. The goal for the day is to turn off your phones, number one, and then to discuss and showcase solutions for what CREST calls impact tourism. It's a term you may or may not be familiar with. Impact tourism goes beyond job creation in the tourism economy. It goes beyond supporting local businesses and leaving money at the destination. It goes beyond philanthropy and volunteerism. Impact tourism encompasses all this and more. It's one, a hand up and not a handout. Two, formed through partnerships on an equal level with host communities. And most importantly, three, it is strategic and sustainable. Today is all about witnessing examples of this kind of tourism. It's about learning from each other. It's about making connections, both in the brain, in the form of new ideas, and in person, in the form of new partnerships. And it's about making travel better for the people, for the place, and ultimately for the planet. So buckle up, it's a full lineup. So what's the plan? Well, we have a keynote followed by 5 panels. A Q&A session will follow each panel so you can engage with our speakers. If you're physically present, and we have a full house here today, simply raise your hand. If you're part of our hundreds of people in our live audience, you can tweet your questions to @crest_travel. Again, that's @crest_travel. And for those of you addicted to your phones, and that's pretty much everyone, you may as well make yourself useful and socialize this event while you are refreshing the headlines of the day. Not that there's anything happening in this town, you know. Plus, Friday is always a slow news day. Everybody knows that. So our hashtags, they are WTD 2019 and hashtag Time, Talent, Treasure. That the travel sector is a big emitter of carbon is a well-known problem. And while we can't solve that problem today, it's important to do what is possible. For the first time in its 3-year history, the 2019 World Tourism Day Forum is an entirely carbon-neutral event, thanks to our carbon offset sponsor, carbonfund.org. There are more details on the sustainability of this event in your programs, which are also responsibly sourced. Okay, enough blah, blah, blah for me. Let's get the show on the road. This event is co-hosted by CREST and the OAS, and we have representatives from these organizations here to welcome you. I'll briefly introduce each one in turn. Samantha Bray is the managing director of CREST and has played a leading role in its global sustainable tourism projects for 6 years. In addition to serving as Crest's managing director, Samantha is an advisor to 2 quite different organizations, the DC-based Destination Stewardship Center and Bodhi Surf and Yoga Camp in Costa Rica. She's also a trained climate reality leader and holds a Master of Tourism Administration from GW University. May I present Samantha Bray.
Thank you, Nori. Good morning, and welcome to the 3rd Annual World Tourism Day Forum. I'm happy to welcome you here on behalf of CREST and our partner, the Organization of American States, this year. I'm probably not who you were hoping to see in front of you today or expecting to see, but I have the privilege of welcoming you on behalf of our new executive director, Dr. Gregory Miller, who unfortunately can't be with us today because he had to have a heart surgery on Monday. He's recovering well. Don't worry, he's, I think, in the live stream audience, so hello, Greg. I hope you're with us today, and I hope we make you proud. And just know that the entire Crest family welcomes you. I would like to thank the Organization of American States for being such a tremendous partner to put on this event. We're grateful to your friendship and collaboration, and we look forward to many future endeavors together. These are both challenging and exciting times for travel and tourism. As one of my personal heroes and most important activists of our time has said, our house is on fire. Our house is on fire. The planet and the tourism industry as we know it are changing, and due to our actions. At the same time, tourism remains a critical tool for conservation and soft diplomacy, encouraging people of different cultures and beliefs to come together in mutual respect and understanding. There's no more time to waste. We as an industry must come together and act now, as we never have before, to ensure we are part of the solution for our planet and its people. We're at a tipping point. Responsible, ethical, and sustainable travel can no longer be a niche or a luxury. These must be describing words for our entire industry, from the smallest independent operators to the largest travel companies. Travel is a privilege, and that comes with great responsibility, from the sides of the destination, the traveler, and the companies. The good news is we have the knowledge and the tools to make this a reality, and tremendous headway has been made. We are pleased to have leaders from a range of destinations, companies, and organizations with us today who are taking this a step past responsible travel to give back to the destinations that they're visiting. As Crest enters our next chapter under Greg's leadership, we will be marshaling our resources and taking strategic action to address what we see as the top priorities and threats to securing a sustainable future. The first of these threats is climate change vulnerability. I am pleased to announce next year's forum theme will be Tourism in a Changing Climate. Going forward, Crest will build upon our past work to emphasize and support working solutions to address climate change vulnerability and resilience through destination stewardship. Along with climate change vulnerability, we are committed to addressing biodiversity loss. Our planet's biodiversity and ecosystems are threatened and hurting like never before. Given the impacts of overdevelopment and poor development, as well as climate change, we will continue using tourism as a tool for solutions. Over-tourism is another critical threat that we face. The UNWTO estimates international tourism arrivals increased 6% in 2018, hitting 1.4 billion 2 years before projected schedule. Coming out of Crest 2018 World Tourism Day Forum, hosted in partnership with the George Washington University International Institute of Tourism Studies on the topic of over-tourism, we will continue our leadership in this area, and we will be releasing a book in 2020 featuring case studies from destinations that are utilizing innovative approaches to addressing over-tourism. These case studies will provide tangible and realistic solutions that can be implemented elsewhere. Finally, we are committed to addressing the issue of inequitable access to wealth in the tourism economy. Though the World Travel and Tourism Council estimates tourism accounts for 10% of global employment, many hospitality and tourism workers are underpaid and overworked. Crest pledges to continue to apply our high-caliber research methods to studying this issue to produce data-driven solutions for fair distribution of wealth. Crest will address these through strategic, long-term partnerships and catalytic investments to take our responsible travel mission to scale. One tool in our toolbox is Impact Tourism, which is the focus of today's event. Impact Tourism provides access to funds that otherwise would not be available within the destination, and this is critical at a time of dwindling funding coming from elsewhere. As Crest continues our leadership of knowledge sharing and best practices in impact tourism, I am excited to share that we will release an impact tourism handbook in 2020 featuring how-to case studies from many of the speakers you will hear from today and others. This will be an update of Crest's seminal 2011 Traveler's Philanthropy Handbook, sharing the breadth of innovative impact tourism programs used by destinations, organizations, and companies around the world. Details about this important project are included in your program if you would like to be involved. Also in 2020, Crest plans to launch an Impact Tourism DC program. It will bring together the tourism industry and organizations in the DC area to give back to environmental and social justice projects in our own backyard. We are seeking partners for this initiative and invite you to join us. Finally, I would like to take this moment to recognize a few individuals without whom I would not be standing before you here today. First and foremost, the incomparable Martha Honey. Martha has been our fearless leader for 16 years, and we are glad you are all here today with us as we honor Martha. Martha has built a strong foundation upon which many of our careers have been built and much of the knowledge base that we all have, and it's been my honor to work with Martha. Sorry. Sorry. I would also love to give a heartfelt thank you to the Crest staff, Rebecca Stewart, Kelsey Frankiel, and Ellen Rue, who have made this event come together today and are wonderful, so please give them a handshake if you see them today. And thank you also for the small army of volunteers who are here to help us pull this off, and for all of our sponsors who made this event possible. As we usher in the next chapter, I'll close with sharing a short video concretizing Crest's commitment to working with this incredible and impactful fields. Thank you.
At the Center for Responsible Travel, we believe travel done well can promote a healthy environment while helping communities thrive.
Tourism is the world's largest service industry. In fact, it provides 1 in 10 jobs globally.
But tourism, more than any other industry, relies on a healthy environment and vibrant local cultures.
Unfortunately, the way many of us travel can, at times, do a great deal of damage.
The growing threats of climate change and over-tourism make Crest's work to promote responsible travel more important than ever.
We must transform the tourism industry in order for tourism itself to survive.
What we believe is that we need to really look at tourism with the same kind of rigor that we've looked at the oil industry, we've looked at mass agriculture and so on, to help people understand the impact of tourism.
Crest is unique, providing interdisciplinary analysis and innovative solutions to support responsible tourism.
Crest projects have ranged from a study of the economic value of bear hunting versus bear viewing in the Great Bear Rainforest in British Columbia, to strengthening small-scale and household-based tourism in Cuba.
At Crest, we believe the answer is not to stay home. Rather, it is to travel in ways that are smarter.
Responsible travel provides a wonderful vacation that protects the environment, provides benefits to local communities, and honors indigenous cultures.
My name is Martha Honey.
My name is Samantha Bray,
My name is Gregory Miller.
and I believe
We can transform the way the world travels.
Richard Campbell has served as chief of the Culture and Tourism section of the OAS since 2009. He provides oversight, general management, and supervision of the organization's culture and tourism portfolio, as well as support in the areas of planning, policy, and program execution on economic development issues. Richard is a national of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, one of my favorite group of islands in the Caribbean. Richard Campbell.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Mrs. of Ceremonies, for the introduction. I like to tell folks that I'm a recovering central banker, having worked pretty much all my life in central banks and in the economics of developing countries. But in the last 10 years or so, I've worked purposely with the Department of Economic Development on cultural and tourism issues. So it's another part of development, but I'm focusing now on what is the role of culture and tourism in development. Let me, on behalf of the OAS, welcome all of you to this World Tourism Day function on impact tourism. The OAS, through its culture and tourism section, once again welcomes this opportunity to partner with the Center for Responsible Travel on this initiative today to commemorate World Tourism Day. These events remain important in instilling in our collective consciousness critical and emerging issues affecting travel and tourism around the world. We appreciate the partnership which we have developed over the years with CREST, allowing us as regional organizations to reach and hear from a diverse range of stakeholders. Last year, we were delighted to support the World Tourism Day event. Similarly, CREST participated in our Inter-American Congress of Ministers of Tourism ministerial meeting in Georgetown, Guyana in March 2018, making a presentation on the sharing economy. These are two concrete examples of our partnership. The development of partnerships such as we have with CREST is invaluable to our work and allows us to do more than we can singularly accomplish. This relationship is due in no small measure to the efforts of Martha Honey. I want to take this opportunity today now to wish her the very best. Thank you, Martha, for all your work and collaboration with the OAS. I also want to say to Greg, we wish you a speedy recovery, and we look forward to working with you, Greg, and Samantha, and the rest of the team at CREST, and going forward in advancing some of our work and providing more collaboration. We at the Culture and Tourism section of the OAS are taking this opportunity today while celebrating World Tourism Day to also commemorate 80 years since the organization first gathered tourism officials from around the hemisphere at the first Inter-American Travel Congress in San Francisco in 1939. 80 years is indeed a lifetime, and such is the legacy of the institution of these meetings that it remains today. In fact, the first Inter-American Travel Congress predates the formal establishment of the OAS, as the meeting was held under the auspices of the organization's predecessor, the Pan American Union. The ministers of tourism from that meeting concluded, among other things, and now I'm quoting from the actual declaration or the final act as it was referred to then, and this is a copy of the document there. The document says, and the ministers had agreed at the time, travel as one of the most important economic phenomena of the present era is in constant process of evolution and continually presents new problems which must be solved from time to time if its growth and development are to be assured. This could have been written last week for that matter, because what is said then is almost just as relevant today. This brings us full circle to the forum today as we gather to discuss new and emerging issues impacting travel and tourism. The event today, with its focus on impact tourism, is consistent with the OAS's commitment to the notion that the benefits of travel and tourism must reach the communities and their residents. Our sustainable tourism initiatives, such as the Sustainable Destination Alliance for the Americas, Sustainable Cities, as well as our ministerial dialogues on tourism, are central to this effort. Moreover, impact tourism represents a great opportunity as a development tool for our member states. There are significant and meaningful examples throughout our OAS member states, a few of which you'll be hearing from today, I think, including examples from Jamaica, Belize, Costa Rica, Canada, and the United States. I look forward certainly to hearing more and in depth about these examples today during the discussions. I also look forward to learning more about the vast potential of impact tourism and how we can include this more in our work program going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. To introduce our keynote speaker, we have Andrea Holbrook. Andrea is president of the Florida-based Holbrook Travel, a company specializing in natural history, educational, and sustainable programs. She's a longtime practitioner of impact travel, having been instrumental in protecting the lowland rainforest habitat in Costa Rica through the family-run Selva Verde Lodge and Private Reserve. Andrea helped establish and is currently president of the board of the Sarapiquí Conservation Learning Center, a community-driven outreach initiative. Andrea Holbrook, everyone.
Thank you, Nori. It's a great pleasure to be here on behalf of CREST, and thank you all for coming to celebrate World Tourism Day. Special thanks to our partner Organization of American States and to the Institute for Peace for providing us with this fabulous space. It's a great honor for me to help frame our conversation about impact tourism and then to introduce our keynote speaker, James Thornton, CEO of Intrepid Travel. My name is Andrea Holbrook, and as Nori said, I am the president of Holbrook Travel, and we're based in Gainesville, Florida, and we specialize in educational and nature-oriented group tours. We focus on, the company was begun by my mother in 1974, and today we operate in Latin America, Africa, and points beyond. We work mostly with educational, nature, and conservation organizations, providing programs that connect travelers with environments and local communities. In the mid-1980s, my mother started Selva Verde Lodge and Private Reserve, located in Sarapiquí, a lowland tropical rainforest area in Costa Rica. I'm here today both as a CREST board member and as an early pioneer in impact tourism. Before introducing James, I'd like to briefly tell you about our experience in Costa Rica and in a project I've been involved with since the 90s. That project, the Learning Center, is a library, computer center, educational, and cultural space. When Selva Verde started in the mid-'80s, it was still quite early in ecotourism development in Costa Rica, and definitely before the term traveler's philanthropy, which is now impact tourism, was even coined. At that time, Sarapiquí was remote, and while it's not as remote any longer, it's still a poorer county of Costa Rica. The first manager of the lodge, Berta Carter, a Bolivian nurse and social worker, worked together with local naturalists and decided to create a library and learning center that was built next to it and supported by the lodge and our guests. The idea was that our lodge should not be an island separated from the surrounding community. Rather, envisioned that the lodge together with the learning center could both benefit the local community and enrich the tourism experience for our visitors. Today, the library now called the Asociación Centro de Aprendizaje para la Conservación de Sarapiquí, or SECOS, it has several names, Library Learning Center, SECOS, has almost 4,000 volumes and is part of the National Library System. It is also the only library in the district, and we have also 15 computers, a computer lab with the Ministry of Science and Technology of Costa Rica, which provides internet and is used widely by local kids and adults. The flagship program of the center are the English as a Second Language classes, and over the last 2 decades, hundreds of students have learned English through the center. Some have gone on to establish their own tourism enterprises. The center is also the local office for the biological corridor in the area, and this corridor provides connectivity for the ecosystem, especially migrating birds and animals. It's also the host of Grupo Morfa, which is a women's artisans group in the area, and it also has ad hoc courses of all kinds. The funding for this programming comes from the rural tourism activities that the center offers, such as dance classes, cooking classes, reforestation activities, and all kinds of rural community tourism activities that our guests take part in. And in addition to the paid staff of the center, which is a very small staff, we have been greatly impacted by many volunteers, short-term and long-term volunteers, who come and live with local families, and the income helps local family households and also provides cultural exchange. I think we've also can take credit for numerous marriages between foreign nationals and local Costa Ricans and many families throughout the globe. The center is an early experiment in impact tourism and has really stimulated deeper knowledge and wider dreams amongst our neighbors in rural Sarapiquí, and certainly contributed to many opportunities for people from abroad to get their foothold in Latin America and start their careers as volunteers at the center. Back in the early 2000s, a mutual friend and founding member of SECOS, Amos Bien, introduced me to Martha Honey. I shall never forget my surprise when I wrote to Martha asking if she would join the board, and she agreed. Later, the center was featured in the CREST video on Travelers Philanthropy and the Travelers Philanthropy Handbook. I was able to participate in the conferences that took place. Some of you have also been there with me. We were reflecting on that yesterday evening, both in Monteverde in 2011 and in Arusha, Tanzania in 2008. In 2017, I joined the CREST board and was pleased to host our biannual board meeting at Selva Verde Lodge, which gave me the opportunity to bring the board into the field and to actually see impact tourism in action through Holbrook relationships with organizations. So I should say that Holbrook does have relationships in other destinations for impact tourism. The Learning Center, however, is an example of how Selva Verde and Holbrook have made deep connections and deep roots, 25th year in counting, within one rural area. The story of the center is a permutation on scores, probably thousands, of early impact tourism projects started by tourism businesses around the world. Since then, these scattered individual projects have coalesced into a global movement grounded on the belief that tourism industry and travelers can and should give to community and conservation projects in the destinations, and that this very experience can provide the tapestry for our most memorable holiday experiences. Now it's my honor and privilege to introduce James Thornton, a travel industry colleague whose Australian-based company has become a global leader in impact tourism. Intrepid offers over 1,000 trips in more than 120 countries on every continent, and it supports scores of impact tourism projects across its travel destinations. From hawksbill turtle protection in Costa Rica to micro-enterprise grants to at-risk hospitality graduates in Cambodia to education support for 90 girls in Morocco. In 2018 alone, $1.15 million in total funds were distributed for projects in Tanzania, Myanmar, Namibia, Nepal, Kenya, Laos, and more. Carbon neutral since 2010, and also one of the first tour operators, if not the first, to take a stand against elephant riding in 2014, and as well as being B Corp certified since 2018. Intrepid was founded in 1988, and by the early 2000s, it had begun to develop a systematic approach to sustainable tourism by developing standards and looking at ways to employ its model globally. In 2003, Intrepid had participated in CREST's first Travelers Philanthropy Conference, that one I missed, in Stanford University, where its then head of sustainability, Jane Crouch, showcased Intrepid's initial impact tourism projects and the philosophy behind them. It is now my privilege to welcome James Thornton, the CEO of Intrepid. James leads Intrepid in delivering on its dual objectives of expanding the market for sustainable, experience-rich travel and operating a global company that has purpose beyond profit. Please join me in welcoming James Thornton.